Hello guys, welcome to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sol. I don't know why I got shy there. And this is my first video in English in a very long while. I stopped doing videos in English and a lot of you have asked me and I promised and I finally bit the bullet and here we are. And I wanted to make the first video about something which is very close to my heart, which is egg freezing. And I'm going to share with you my experience. Sorry, my hair caught in this earring. I love these earrings, they're so big, but so something that's very close to my heart is egg freezing, and I wanted to share my personal experiences and views with you on the topic of egg freezing and how I felt going through the whole procedure. So about 3 years ago, I decided that I wanted to freeze my eggs, and I looked into it a lot. One of my patients at Harley Street, a wonderful, beautiful young lady, had egg freezing, and I started asking her about it, and she recommended her fertility clinic to me, and I started looking into it. The clinic that I went through was Harley Street Fertility Clinic. I've included a link to their website in my description. Check them out if you like. This video is not sponsored by them. If you were to give them my name, and my name is Sami, if you were to give them my name, I believe you get £100 discounted from any procedure that you were to have there. So I had been thinking about egg freezing for some time, and I called up this clinic, had a Zoom call consultation with then my partner and the specialist, and she went through some material with me and told me that the prognosis of me having my eggs fertilized and for them to lead to a viable pregnancy later would be better than just freezing the eggs on their own. However, I wanted to freeze my eggs on their own. I didn't want them to be fertilized, and that was multifactorial. One reason was, God forbid, if the relationship didn't work out, I didn't want to then be linked to my previous partner, because it could have complicated the situation with them and their new partner, or maybe they would have changed their mind, and it didn't work out. So I'm glad that I froze the eggs on their own. Two was because I wanted it to be independent of the relationship and independent of another person. I wanted this to be just for me and purely for me. It is an insurance policy. We all have our cars or our homes insured. We hope that the homes never get broken into and the cars never break down, or we don't get into incidences, but we cover ourselves just in case. I wanted the eggs frozen just in case I needed it, just in case I wanted to use them in the future. Like if I was to have a natural pregnancy where I'd gotten pregnant naturally, ideally that would have been perfect, or that would be perfect. But I needed this insurance policy for my peace of mind. And I don't think I understood how important it was till months after I'd actually gone through with it. I'll explain the procedure later, but after the whole procedure ended and I had some time to reflect and think, I felt like this heavy weight had been lifted from my shoulders. Like this deafening sound of this biological clock had just been silenced, like completely snoozed, but for good. The alarm clock had been turned off, and that was very, very nice for my soul. I now can go into relationships, new relationships, no longer having to think that, okay, I've got X amount of time to get to know them, to then get engaged, to get married, get pregnant, and everything was like on a timeline really fast, and you don't concentrate or you don't enjoy the relationship as much as you want to. I also didn't want to invest further in a relationship just because I'd invested more time in a relationship, I should say, than it needed, because I had been in the relationship for so long. Does that make sense? Like, I didn't want to be in it for longer just because I wanted to have children. So that for me was great. About New Year's Eve of 2025, or 2024 going into 2025, we were at a friend's house and I met this lovely gentleman friend just speaking, and we were talking, and I was telling him about the egg freezing, and he said, "Oh, well done, you're now a man." And I've said this to a couple of people and they've gotten a little offended by it, but I never took any offense to it. I was quite happy with what he said, and I thought, yes, I am. I am a man now, in the sense that I no longer have that pressure. So it's lifted a lot of pressure off my shoulders. I can now freely get to know someone without having to worry about how quickly I need to process and progress to the next level. So in that sense, it's incredible. It's given me a lot of peace, just a lot of peace. Going back to the process, so I had this Zoom consultation, and the lady discussed the whole process to me, and I had a fertility check. So we did some blood tests and they talked about different hormones. Luckily for me, my sister is an obs and gynae surgeon, so I could relay back to her, and my other sister who's a hematologist, and speak to her about it. So I have them at hand, and that was brilliant. So after we did the fertility checks and I got all of those back, I then decided to go ahead with the egg freezing. They started me off on some tablets. I was taking some aspirin and some other tablets. I was getting bruises a lot, like little bruises everywhere. And I remember the first time I went in to my appointment, my very first appointment, my hair was beautifully blow dried and my makeup was immaculate. And I went in and sat in this waiting room, and I was dressed very nice and sat in this waiting room. And I just remember thinking to myself, isn't this amazing? Like, how incredible that science allows us to do this for ourselves, that I'm in a financial position where I could provide this for myself. Like, this is amazing. And I'm just so happy. And I was looking around the room at the other ladies and I was like, yes, good for us, good for you, in my head. And majority of the women around the room looked very almost upset, distraught, like, so I couldn't really understand it. So I didn't know. As the process went on, you have to inject yourself, and a lot of my mind has blocked this off. I think it was initially once a day, then twice a day, and I'm usually okay with injections. So I'm not so good with taking blood and donating blood. So I donate blood, but I'm not very good at it. I don't really enjoy it. But with these little injections, and they were like in the belly area, so I wasn't particularly, like, initially I was okay with them, but towards the end I really hated them. And I was so hormonal and my mind just felt like it wasn't mine, and I was just so emotional. I remember going out with my younger sister Seppi to watch a movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the third one, which is a comedy, and I cried the entire film. Like, the entire film I was crying. So it was horrific in that sense. I felt like my mind was on my own. I was just so emotional. I was crying at everything. If the patients were too nice to me at work, I would cry. If someone said something to me, I'd get upset. So I was very, very emotional. And one of the appointments, like follow-ups and scans that I had to go in, I remember going in and my hair was in like a bun, like to one side, and I was wearing this massive hoodie, like a really long big hoodie. And I think at that day I'd not even worn underwear because I was like, we're going to do the scan anyway and I have to take it off. And I had yesterday's mascara running down my face and I just looked god awful. And I sat in the waiting room and this lady came in with her beautiful makeup and her beautifully blow-dried hair, and I just looked at her and I thought, poor girl, she doesn't know what's about to hit her. And I thought back to that first day when I sat there being that girl, and I was like, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. It makes total perfect sense. So it came to extracting the eggs, and the whole procedure was incredible. Like, I didn't feel anything. I wasn't in any pain. I came around from the general anesthesia and the consultant came around to see me. It's a private hospital, so it's quiet. And she came to see me and she said, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. And she said, okay, I'm going to come round and speak to you and tell you what we've got. And I said, okay, not a problem. And she went and I could hear her speak to another patient. I couldn't see the other patient, I could just hear some of the conversation. And she said to the lady that we managed to extract one egg, one mature egg. And the lady was, she was responsive and she said, oh, okay. And she said, okay, I'll take 2 months rest and then we can have the next procedure, like we'll start the next cycle. And at that point I thought to myself, regardless of how many eggs they've taken, I'm not going to do this again. I feel like for me that was enough and I don't need any more. Statistically you need about 18. I think they recommend 18 and above. And I thought, I don't want any more. If I've gotten one, it only takes the one, and that's what the universe wants for me. And that's it. So I'd already made up my mind that I only wanted the one round. Reason being, I didn't particularly enjoy the experience because I was so emotional. I know people who've done it multiple times, but for me that one time was enough. So the consultant came back and she started speaking to me. And she said that we managed to get 14. Out of the 14, 12 were mature, so we can freeze 12 of them. And I said, okay, that's fantastic. Like, I was so happy, but also simultaneously just a little gutted and a little heartbroken for the lady in the other room. But was thanking God that, yes, thank God that she's strong enough and she has the financial backing to do this again. But I was just a little bit gutted, for her, but very happy for myself. I went home and they sent me an email saying out of the 12, actually now there's only 10 that's viable that they could save and they could freeze. And I thought, okay, we're still winning, we're still on double digits, and you only need one. And this is my insurance policy, so I'm hoping never to need this, but it's there if you need it. Guys, would I recommend you to do it? 100%. If you're in a financial position to do this for yourself, I'd recommend it. I'd recommend it more than any Chanel handbag or fancy shoes. I'd recommend it more than any holiday. That peace of mind that you buy for yourself is priceless. I can't tell you how much it's changed how I carry myself. Like, not just in my dating life, but just knowing that that's there if I need it. I don't quite know the percentages and the stats in regards to viable pregnancies, like afterwards for fertilizing these eggs, and I don't want to. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. I'm hoping never to need these eggs, but it's provided me with so much peace, and that alone has been worth the whole experience and the money. Would I recommend it? Yes. At what age? I did it at 40. So it was one of the gifts that I gifted myself that year when I turned 40. When I turned 40, I gifted myself a lot of things. One was a 6-pack, the other was a boxing, like Muay Thai trip, like in a boxing camp in Thailand, which was fantastic, like a lot of soul searching. And then it was a trip to Mauritius. Like, it was a whole year gifting myself things. I felt like I deserved it. But my best gift to myself to date has been this egg freezing. I've not really put a time scale as to when I want to use them, how long I want to keep them for. Like, you pay almost like a subscription, if you like, to this freezer in Harley Street that keeps it for you. And I don't know how long I want to keep it. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. For the time being, they're there and they provide me with a lot of peace of mind. Guys, I hope you found this video helpful. I shall be posting a few more videos in English only because you asked me to, and I hope you like them. I'll try and be less shy next time. I don't know why I get shy. Like, I really don't understand why. Like, I'm posting these videos in Farsi for such a long while. I don't know why all of a sudden I was like, I hope you've liked this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and leave a comment. More to do with egg freezing. I would love to hear your other comments, what other videos you'd like me to post. But in terms of egg freezing, if you've done it, if you've thought about it, if this video was helpful, if I can give you any more information about it. I think defense mechanism, I have blocked off some stuff, but I've got some videos that I've put in throughout this video. I hope you find it helpful. Until next time, bye.